Okay. Ashley, Rayna, welcome to my computer screen. It is amazing to have you guys actually participating in this series. I really appreciate the time and the mind share. So, how you guys been?
We're as good as we can be. You know, we are really lucky to have family that's healthy and produce a show that makes people laugh, and that keeps us laughing. We make each other laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we're good. I mean, I'm in Delaware with my family, or with my parents, and Raina's in New York, and you know, we talk as much as we did before. It's just not always face to face, but yeah, we're keeping it rolling. We've been really busy. We've been too busy. I'm like telling people, I've stopped committing to stuff. I'm like, this is too much. I need a day to watch TV. I want to live like everybody else.
Yeah, you got to get that contextual information also. I mean, you need that 10 hours down.
It's like open season on work days. It's like 7 days a week is a work day. We just all day long, but we're really grateful to have that opportunity. You know, we just joke about how we were like, we thought we would have time off, and all we did was invent more projects first.
But I look forward to getting into that. Actually, why don't we start with just doing a quick introduction of who you are and kind of contextually like what you're all about and what you guys do professionally. We'll start with Rayna.
Yeah, I am Rayna Greenberg. I'm a photographer. I'm a former food blogger. I had one of the largest food and travel blogs in the United States for quite some time, which is how I met Ashley. I'm a New Yorker, and I am one half of the Girls Gotta Eat podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm the other half. I'm Ashley Hesseltine, and I am a comedian, influencer, for lack of a better word, and a writer, and that's it. A philanthropist, a dog owner. I got a lot going on.
You guys do wear a lot of hats, and we'll get to that in a moment. So why don't we start with this? Like you mentioned, so Ashley, you're over in Delaware, Rayna, you're in New York, and you know, a lot of course, you're doing everything virtually now. But how has the business kind of shifted or changed over the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks?
I can start. You know, we've done an episode of our podcast every single Monday without fail for over 2 years. And, you know, it was immediate priority day one. How do we do the podcast? How do we hold the quality of the podcast up? So we're doing it remotely, which is a little less satisfying because we love to meet our guests. And I just, of course, love to be with Ashley and Dewey when we record. And then obviously the live shows are a huge part of our brand. And we've had to unfortunately cancel and move all of those. So that's been a huge change for us because we're always traveling and on the road and meeting people.
Yeah.
So, and like Rayna said, like we have put out a podcast every week. We record our video on Zoom, and we've been working with the audio to make it work. But I mean, I'm always trying to find us. We both are always trying to find the silver lining and the good things that have come out of this. I mean, now we are pros at remote interviews. You know, we never did them before. We always wanted to be in the room with the guest, which we loved. You know, but now it's like we've kind of opened that door, and are working it out. So for the future, and we basically right when we got into this quarantine 6 weeks ago, we launched our main video component of our podcast, the YouTube channel, and having video with every single episode, which was something that we hadn't done. And then on the live show side, we, like Rayna said, we postponed all of the shows that we had. We had shows through June, and we moved them all to the fall, winter. We'll see what happens. And then in lieu of them, we've been doing Instagram live shows, kind of in place of when we were supposed to have the tour runs. So like when we were supposed to be in Texas, that was the first cancellation weekend. We did a show then. We did one from when we were supposed to be in Philly. We have one more in the books kind of in honor of our Florida tour. So we've done this to give some people something to look forward to, and we've raised money and given it to charity, and girls love it. I mean, they pregame it, they put it on their smart TV or their laptop and turn it into an event. And you know, 8,000 to 10,000 girls are watching, and Rayna and I get ready. We do our hair, you know, we just cut up. I mean, it's similar to a live show, honestly, in terms of the content. So that has been a highlight of it for us, just trying to, you know, give something to people that were supposed to come see us and it's for us too, because it gives us something to look forward to and plan for.
What aspects of it, like, I mean, you mentioned a lot of new type of stuff. So, I mean, the videos are somewhat new, or you started doing it right before
Yeah,
COVID
we
time?
kind of made the decision, and then we actually kind of weirdly started in LA. Raina found this amazing guy that just followed us around in LA, recorded all of our recordings there. We were there for a little while. And then we were like, well, we started it, now we can't stop. And it was always the plan. And, admittedly, we waited too long because, of course, this is what our audience wants, is to see us, to see our expressions. And it's not full podcast on YouTube or anything, but there's just snippets on Instagram every week. And yeah, so now we've committed to that forever.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what I'm saying. Is it going to be forever? So, like, how many of these like new strategies that you guys are rolling out are going to like live in perpetuity? Are you going to still kind of focus on, like, is the Insta Live stuff still productive for you guys? I mean, of course, the engagement's there, so that kind of dictates a lot. But are you enjoying it enough to keep it going? Like, how's the overall?
We've built some things. We've really used the opportunity in this downtime to take on to some creative projects that we never would have had time to do. We are on the road so much. We spend so much time planning the shows, traveling. It's so amazing, but it takes a lot of time, of course. So we've used this time to really do the video and figure out what works, what people like, what's going to drive them to a YouTube channel. We are rebuilding our website. We're adding really cool, fun gifts to Instagram. We're just trying to make it like a more fun brand that it already is. And we'll keep doing that. And then the charity component that we've really leaned into has been so fantastic. And we've really, I mean, Ashley glossed over it, mentioned it. We raised $22,000 in 2 nights. And we've really used our platform to talk about, what people's behavior should be like right now, and terrible influencer behavior, and promote charities. And I think we've just really leaned into like even more empathy for what other people are doing. And we're going to hopefully always continue that. For the live shows on Instagram, I don't know if we'll continue them.
Well, we're trying to also upgrade them. And that is a nice thing. We've definitely learned some new skills and some things that we can do. I mean, we've been on some pretty cool lives and live streams, I guess, that other people have done where it's on YouTube, or I guess it's on YouTube. So as opposed to you're watching it on Instagram. So we're trying to, and then somehow filming it in Zoom so you have a guest, like basically what we're doing now to stream it to YouTube. That's our goal for the next one, so we can bring in some of our former guests like we would at a live show or whatever it is, just get people excited. So we're working on that. We know some companies that are doing a really good job. I don't think it's anything crazy to learn, but we'd like to upgrade it a little bit, the experience, the viewing experience for one, as opposed to like, my head cut off on top of Raina's head. But just trying to figure that out. And maybe that's something that we'd continue once we get back on the road for different purposes, like just fun things that we can do to connect with more people even after this.
Yeah, and I listen to the show enough. So like, admittedly, not every single week, but quite often enough. And, you guys, so to talk about, kind of get back to the empathy side of things that Raina had brought up, or to the kind of raising awareness side, that's been in your DNA. Although that you have a very jovial kind of tone towards the show, and you talk about a lot of empowering issues but you make light of them, in light situations. But when things need to get serious and calling attention to it, you turn on the serious tone, and you've always been very consistent about raising awareness for important causes. And I think I've actually mentioned that to you last time I saw you, Ashley, is that like, that's something that I've really revered about your guys' cadence and the way that you approach your show and your audience. So what, maybe you could talk through some of the nonprofit or like the awareness side of things that you've been working on. I know, Raina, I think I saw maybe briefly even today that you were advocating for restaurant workers and owners just today, correct?
Yeah. And Ashley and I are super proud that we built a brand where we could joke around and talk about crazy stuff, and also get super serious and talk about how you should behave and how you should give back. And, Ashley said this a long time ago, that people are dynamic and you don't have to have one angle. And, we have had a dynamic show because of that. So we're really proud of that. I can talk a little bit about what we have done. We dedicated the first live show to healthcare workers and PPE. And that's really all we said was, if you guys want to send us money, that's where this is going. And then the second one was for small businesses and people like hourly workers that have been affected. So that's the message we put out. And then Ashley and I spent a ton of time researching these charities. Ashley, even more so than me, has had these amazing philanthropic efforts, and we've tried to find smaller organizations where the money goes directly to people. So Ashley can talk a little bit about that, but that was sort of the goal.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing that Rayna said that's like, that's she brought to my attention that's just so cool is that these people are like blindly giving us money, you know, and I don't say that in like that we're scamming them. I say that in like they trust us to do the right thing. And we just say a broad area where it's going and they're like, take my money, you know, like it's so nice. People just want to help and they trust us, and we're very transparent. I mean, we collect the money and then we distribute it depending on how much we get. And that was part of it too. Like we didn't know if we were going to raise $1,000 or 20. So it's like, if it's 20, it's going to go to a few different places. If it's $1,000, it's just going to go one place. So that's kind of was the reason for even like dividing it up in the first place. But yeah, I mean, we did Bethany Frankel's organization. We love her. We look to her as I mean, I don't even use the word influencer. I mean, celebrity reality show star turned humanitarian. Hers, we did a local New York organization after the first show that was just making up a group of doctors that banded together that was making PPE and getting it to the right place. They had like a whole distribution channel. And then like a Fuel the Front Lines, which is just healthcare packages and meals for people on the front lines. We've sent some scrubs directly to nurses. We have a partner, not that they like hooked us up. We just work with them. So we're like, we'll use them. We're just sending gift cards to nurses to buy yourself some new scrubs. And then the second round was Roar NYC. I'm sure you're familiar with it, to help the restaurants. And then Rayna found this organization called Modest Needs that is basically just small grants for people that need it, whether they're a single mother that's struggling and they apply and they just get money. And that's something that I did on my own personal Instagram was just, I posted kind of a long thing, but just like, I want to help, DM me if you need money. And I sent cash via Venmo and PayPal to 50 people in need from amounts, you know, from hundreds of dollars per person. So, I mean, I just like was like, I have money. I want to give it away. I trust these people. I don't think anybody's trying to scam me. If they are, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. And people just, that's the thing. Like, I wanted to go in people's hands directly, you know, and we love these organizations, but we want it to also benefit people directly. And that was an effort that we were doing with the scrubs. It's just like, tell us who you are, where you work, what you need, let us get it to you.
Really cool. This may or may not be relevant for you guys, but I just connected with a founder of a company called Givz, GIVZ, yesterday. So essentially what his company allows you to do, or what Givz allows you to do, is that on checkout of, so if you have merch, I think you guys do have merch, but if on any merch sales or any sale, a proceed can go towards, like, you know, any sort of charity that you could choose from a number of charities that are pre-designated by that shop, by the Shopify shop. So in this case, it would be Girls Gotta Eat. We say that we want some to go to Roar, we want some to go here and the other place. But what I like about it was, what I thought was interesting is that you can get allotted a certain amount. So you could say, okay, for a $20 purchase, you get $5, and you could say, I want all 5 going there, or I want like $3 going there, $2 going there, XYZ. It just makes it really easy. It's basically an API into Shopify that makes it super easy for, I guess, e-commerce companies or anyone selling a good to just drive awareness or funds to.
Yeah.
Well, giving has never been easier. It's, I mean, you can't, there's no excuse. I mean, if you like, I was even on YouTube looking at something and it was like, click here to donate to whatever. I was like, you can put it in your Instagram story. Like, it is never, and then you can pay with your Apple Pay or your PayPal. Like, you don't even need to enter your credit card info. Like, there's no excuse if you have it. I mean, this is, you know,
that's the excuse.
Worry about, obviously that's implied, you know, take care of yourself first. But yeah, it's just, it's beautiful to see how easy it is. I mean, I think Rayna and I, you know, we had a friend, one day she was like, whatever you donate to this cause in her Instagram story slide, I'm going to match it. I mean, that probably took her a minute to put up, you know, and thousands of dollars later, people raise money. So I love, that's a cool thing that has, not that that didn't exist before, but people are coming up with even newer and cooler and easier ways to give back.
Yeah, Fuel the Frontline is an interesting one. I've been blown away by everybody that has really just like been like, well, I want to do a charity. And there's, you hear the word grassroots charity every 5 seconds, but there's so many. And Ashley found these Fuel the Frontline girls, and I started chatting with her. And it's just these 2 girls that were like, I want to do something nice for hospitals. And they reached out to all these restaurants and all these smaller companies and doing care packages and food for hospitals. But they like on their own just reached out to some restaurants and were like, hey, do you want to do this? And we'll collect some money. And like, it's really like a beautiful thing to see what's happening in the world. Like there is so much good in the world right now. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that, I'm hopeful that when we come out of this, it'll like elevate our, like, you know, just our overall consciousness. Right. So I think that we're trending towards that direction. But now with this unfortunate kind of global impact, like everyone's feeling this at the same time, right? Like it doesn't matter if, you know, you're American, you're Korean, you're Indian, you're like, it doesn't matter, right? Everyone's affected in a very similar manner. And I think that there is a lot of, I guess, an emotional or mindful shift that could happen because of it. So.
It's made us more empathetic, I think, of each other and our audience and our guests, and just everybody's experiencing a different emotion. And it's helped us to think, you know, what kind of episodes should we produce? What do we need to put out every week? What kind of message should we send to make people feel better? I think it's helped us to, I mean, I think that we're empathetic people in general, but it's helped us to understand what other people are going through even more than before.
Well, I mean, let's shift over to the business side. You know, a lot of I would assume that a sizable revenue source was from the live shows. Of course, that, you know, just like any other media or digital media platforms, you also have like the partnerships that extend into the sphere of the audio content and, you know, the other things. Has there been any like particularly successful strategies or relationships that you've figured out as a result of COVID that you can maybe kind of share with folks that also have engaged audiences?
I think it's the main thing is just figuring this remote thing out. You know, like I don't think that we were limited before. We had just made this decision of like, we like the guest in the room. And I think this has opened the door for us to expand and record with whoever we want, whenever we want. Cause we did feel a little limited in that way, you know, like we were like, well, I mean, we're going to record with these people when we're in LA or when they're in New York next or whatever it is. And, like I mentioned before, like all these cool ways to live stream, you know, like this is stuff that we're learning too, that you can get on a Zoom and you can live stream that to YouTube and you can put graphics up on the screen and you can do all this cool stuff. You know, like regardless of your thoughts of Barstool Sports, they do a great job. You know, like there's some of these companies are really doing it well and knowing and figuring out how to reach their audience in such a way. So I mean, I guess it's kind of repetitive, but I don't really have anything else in terms of what we have done differently in our business besides figuring that out. And it's been a lot of technical stuff on my end, you know, figuring out how we get the best audio because it doesn't necessarily happen over a Zoom call, you know, so we were both recording our own track and then I'm combining them. And so, you know, some technical nitty gritty stuff like that. But I think it's just reaching people better remotely. I mean, everybody's had to learn this. Like you watched, I watched American Idol the other night. They have done it the best that I've seen. Like they're supposed to be live now. So what they had to do was like, they had to send the contestants like a package with like
box,
equipment with a ring light and an amp and all the stuff. And it's just like, then the judges were all remote. And I was just shook by it because I watched a lot out of curiosity. You know, like Ryan or Kelly Ripa, you know, like, and Ryan, like all those, I've watched a lot of the shows. These people are just on Zoom in their kitchens and American Idol like fucking crushed it. And since I said ring light, that's another thing that's come out of this is figuring out the best lighting. I don't have it right now, but like Rayna and I are.
Rayna's kind of crushing it over there. So yeah. I don't know if she's got a ring light going on.
I'm not using it. It's I have one over
She's
here.
She's doing natural light now, but we have like, I figured out a lighting situation. Like if I'm going on a Zoom date, I'm going to look fire. And I think like, it's not
for
a
me,
secret.
it's in my bedroom.
Like we can do nighttime and look like slamming on Zoom. Like we have figured it out. And if that's probably my favorite thing to come out of this is figuring out my home lighting situation.
You're right. The Instagram lives, every dude I know is like, wow, the glow up is crazy. But I did want to add something about like the business, because I think that like probably a lot of people in podcasting and influencing are like, I mean, it's no secret that the way everybody in podcasting and influencer relation that you make your money from ads. And of course there's less money, there's less people spending. I don't know. I can't even talk with that dog around. It's too cute.
He's so cute.
Who's this?
This is my parents' dog. He's just like the sweetest angel. I'm sorry, Rayna. That's
okay. This is more important. I think that like in terms of the business, you know, day one, we were on the phone with our ad sales network talking about what makes sense, who has a budget, you know, what even makes sense to advertise right now. And, you know, we don't want to be insensitive to people either. We don't want to be like, buy this expensive jewelry, but at the end of the day, people want that stuff and people do want to shop. So it's been about, you know, crafting the message and figuring out who has dollars. And I think Ashley and I both have had our ears in podcasts and just on television, seeing who's advertising, what makes sense. You know, everybody on earth is creating websites. Everybody's drinking at home. They're cooking at home. They want to buy comfy clothing. So just like, we're constantly thinking, you know, what makes sense in terms of advertising and talking to our ad network about that. And then building messaging into the ads where we say, you know, skip the drugstore, get this online, stuff like that. We want to be sensitive to that, but we also have to try to make a living. Yeah. So in terms of the business, it's been a lot of that. And we've been really successful. And I've gotten also on social media, I've gotten some charity initiatives also. And her and I are doing a partnership with hotels.com, which is fun. It really just influences people to stay home and you get gift cards to take food, like to get food out, you know, from local businesses. So it's fun to make money from that and also promote a good cause. So I think that's been like a nice thing with the business is just a lot of work to figure out what makes sense and what the messaging is.
So one thing that I've, I guess, recognized from your audience versus other audiences is that the amount that your audiences lean on you for advice, right? So neither of you are necessarily career psychologists or anything like that, but I'll tell you, I think you are. Yeah, like I think
we literally have therapists on. When we have therapists on, all they say is, "You're right. Wow, great point. Yeah, you guys are right. You guys are right. Wow, wow, wow." And we're just like, "Yeah, we don't need you."
Yeah, you could go. We get emails from therapists all the time. They're like, I just tell my clients to listen to you guys.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The other day, like I've spent thousands of dollars on therapy. I don't know why I ever did that because you guys.
Anyway, keep going. We just had to jerk each other off for a second.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to that point though, like what are your audience members coming out from, like, you know, what are they concerned about these days? Like what type of inquiries are you getting?
I feel like they know we're at home and we're more accessible and they just slide into our DMs with anything, like their relationship questions. I mean, I'm trying to think. Can someone get him? I mean, the relationship stuff, I don't know. It's weird. It hasn't changed that much. Like, yeah, we're all at home, but people are still going through breakups and, you know, overwhelmingly, I think a lot of like, my partner's driving me crazy. I'm worried this relationship is ending kind of thing. And we did an episode on it and all the stuff they've asked us, we've tried to tackle in episodes. You know, I don't feel like having sex. My sex drive is low. My partner, you know, we're not doing it. All kinds of things. And a lot, honestly, where do I give and where do how can I be charitable too? And I think that's why people just blindly give us their money, because they know that we know what to do. I mean, I'm not saying we're experts, a little bit of the blind leading the blind and just Googling and figuring it out. But a lot of that is like, how can I help? You know, they look up to us and other people that they're following that are doing good charitable things, and they want to know what they can do. And that's, you know, we certainly didn't get a ton of those inquiries before, and those, you know, come in all the time. Rayna probably has more things I'm not thinking about.
No, you did great, sweetie. We try to think about what do people want from content right now? How can we address people's needs right this second, but also how can that content be evergreen? So like Ashley mentioned, like the sex stuff, and, you know, people are saying like, my sex drive is low and I don't want to have sex with my partner, or I don't want to masturbate, or my partner doesn't want to have sex with me. And so we had a sexual therapist on the show, but we think that like those episodes are evergreen because like there's going to be other times in your life where you are lacking sex drive or want to spice up a long distance relationship relationship and want to talk about phone sex. And I think I'm really proud of the job that we've done there. And we had a therapist on to talk more about anxiety and things like that, and dealing with wanting to murder your partner and being stressed out. But I think that like these topics do stand the test of time also. So we are listening to what people want. We want to make episodes like that, but we want people in 6 months to also like that find us, be like, oh, I like that episode too.
Yeah.
So we're trying really hard to do that.
What are you guys kind of anticipating for like the future of media as like kind of like the broad brushstroke? Like, are you seeing that things are going to return to resemble how we were consuming before? Or do you have any forecasts for the future as of now that might be different?
I think as a whole, the world will be a better place. I think it'll take a while. I think, if you really see what happened after World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, like it was positive. It just took a while to get there, and it got really dark, and it got better before it got worse. And so I think we're going to see a better world in more ways than one, in terms of just like people being kinder and the environment and, like less consumption and all those types of things. I don't know. I wonder if, you keep seeing these, like the end of the influencer articles, like, I don't know. That's cancel culture. I don't know. Like, people are like, so-and-so is canceled, and they're not. They never are. But I wonder if this is just making people lose a little bit of interest in celebrities and influencers, that they, you see somebody like Ellen, and people are just like, she's just saying that her giant mansion feels like a prison. Like, these people have said a lot of tone deaf things, and I wonder if people are just going to lose interest, and if that's going to shift too. And I think that I was listening to a podcast the other day, The Daily, about that's what happened after World War II and the Great Depression, was like rich people didn't have as much power, celebrity who didn't have as much power, that type of thing. And I wonder if we're going to see an effect like that in a way, after all of this. Like, it just levels the playing ground, because it is right now. We're all just at home, like nobody is out doing anything more important than anybody else. And I wonder if in a way that's going to shift too. And for the positive, people have too much money and too much power in the top 0.1%,
Absolutely. That is it for the time that we have.
Oh, sorry, Rayna. Do you think is that?
No, Rayna, do you want to jump in on that actually before we?
I think just on a more personal level, hopefully it will make people be kinder and more empathetic. It certainly had a bigger effect on me and Ashley. Our live shows were canceled, for example. And, we had a lot of conversations about how this affected our agents who are not going to get the money, and the tour promoters, and the venues that are going to close, and the merchandise company that we work with. And I think hopefully it will make people understand what other people are going through more. And also just, you always have in the back of your mind, like, I remember this time where I couldn't be with people. And so I think that hopefully we'll really value these interactions and each other a little bit more. And this has brought me a lot closer to people that I haven't talked to family members. Like, I always feel like I talk to people more now than I ever fucking did. I'm exhausted. Yeah. But I think that this will hopefully make the world a better place. I don't think we're all changing overnight. I still think that we're all kind of shitty people sometimes, but I think at least we'll pause to be a little bit better to each other. I have been. So I think that that's a positive.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't wait to see you guys in person again. It's been a long time, nonetheless. And, when everything does open back, and Ashley, you're back in New York, let's all hang. But
June 1st, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so really appreciate you guys spending the time over here and lending your insights. I know it's an interesting time, and you really do have to prioritize. So appreciate you prioritizing us and the audience. So talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks. Talk soon.